Alright, so first of all, yeah, I finally upgraded to 2K21, so y'all don't have to worry about me playing 2K19. Well, mainly because their server shut down. So now I finally upgraded, well, at least before I get my PS5. But we ain't gonna talk about that, alright? Instead, we're gonna be talking about how slept on the Portland Trailblazers are. Now, Rusty made a video about the Portland Trailblazers on his side channel where he basically copies the format of Kenny for real, or Kenny King of the Fourth Quarter, whatever you like to call him. He basically titled his video, "Give the Blazers their respect" or whatever. So it gave me this idea to do my take on the Blazers, and my video is probably going to be titled like, "The Blazers are pretty slept on this year," or "Why are they slept on," or "Don't sleep on the," something to that liking. So the Blazers as a team are 16-10 and they're currently 5th in the Western Conference. Portland is currently on a 4-game winning streak, beating teams like the Mavericks and the 76ers. Now they're about to play the Oklahoma City Thunder. By the time I upload this video, most likely they will be done with the game. But as of now, the Blazers have been playing lights out basketball for the past 4 games. Damian Lillard has been on a tear. He had 34 against the Dallas Mavs, 36 against Orlando. He didn't play all that great in the Philadelphia game nor the Cleveland game, but then again, the Cleveland game is a blowout. And in the game against Philadelphia, Ben Simmons was the guy defending Damian Lillard. So even though Dame had 30 points, it took him 21 shots and he only made 6 of them. Of course, having 14 free throws in the process, and then he shot 13 for 13 against the Orlando Magic. But this year, Lillard has been, pretty much Lillard. He's been averaging 29 a game along with 4 rebounds and 7 assists and is currently 8th in PER. Dame is also playing at really good efficiency, averaging 45% from the field, 38% from 3, and a career high 93% from the free throw line. So basically, Dame has been an automatic bucket for them. But one noticeable difference that I was able to detect even with their conference finals run back in 2019, they have not only good defenders, they actually have another shot creator, or at least 2 shot creators on the team outside of course, Dame and CJ. One being Carmelo Anthony, the other being Gary Trent Jr. And I want to talk about Gary Trent Jr. for a minute. Rusty made the point in his video that he actually made that whole Gary Trent shit happen, where Gary Trent is averaging 20 points as a starter. And damn, he's been on a tear lately. Even though he's shooting 43% from the field and 44% from 3 and then 76% from the free throw line. Those numbers are not spectacular, but he's been a very reliable shot creator and a good 3-and-D guy. And Gary Trent Jr. has just been a solid overall player. And if we can get to Carmelo Anthony, Carmelo has been playing lights out for the last 6 games. He's been averaging 19.2 on really great efficiency. 49% from the field and 52% from 3, and 5 out of those last 6 games he had 20 plus points. And in the game against the Blazers, he basically turned into New York Knicks 62-point Melo, scoring 17 points in the 4th quarter, literally carrying the Blazers to victory when Damian Lillard, basically didn't play well. And what I do think people are somewhat missing here, because I know Woj pointed it out, the overall leadership between Carmelo Anthony and Dame Lillard are the reason why the Blazers have been performing well as of late. Both are good voices in the locker room. They give veteran presence to guys like Anthony Simons and of course Gary Trent Jr. as well as Harry Giles, who signed there, Zach Collins, Nasir Little. I mean, man, you get it. But the point is that Dame and Melo's leadership are the reason why the Blazers have been going on a tear. And I do hope they keep this up. I want to give CJ McCollum a shout out, even though he's not in the thumbnail, because he's been injured the past few games. CJ has also been playing lights out. In the 13 games he's played in, he's averaged 26.7 a game, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, shooting 47% from the field, 44% from 3, and 84% from the free throw line. Honestly, his most efficient year. Now, of course, he is suffering a foot injury, which sucks, but he has been a reason why the Blazers have been playing pretty well. In the 13 games he played in so far, the Blazers were 8-5, which is not all that good, but most of the games, CJ played out of his mind, or CJ played pretty well. And honestly, with the way Portland has been playing as a team, as well as CJ tearing it up, they would be a 20-win team already. They would not be 17-10. And I say 17-10 because I'm editing this part in and they just won their game against the New Orleans Pelicans. And CJ is as important to the team as Dame and Carmelo. Another piece that the Blazers are missing though is Jusuf Nurkic. Now, Nurkic is out with a wrist injury and is expected to miss at least 2 months. And he should be back after All-Star break. But even though his stats, he's averaging 10 points and 8 rebounds, which may not be as flashy, but Nurk is one of those centers whose impact goes way beyond the box score, similar to what Al Horford did in Boston. Not saying Nurkic is Al Horford, but he is that type of player. And Enes Kanter has been a very, very solid pickup. Despite him having non-existent defense, he is a pretty solid all-around big. He's averaging 11 points and 11 rebounds. He'll get you those almost every given night, and I think he'll be a solid backup center for Jusuf Nurkic when he comes back. Also in my trades vid, when I was talking about the Rocco trade, Enes Kanter was a pretty huge piece to the Blazers in their run to the Western Conference Finals in 2019. And speaking of the Rocco trade, I originally made that an 8 out of 10, I believe. Or no, it was a 9 out of 10. I would still keep it at 9 out of 10 because Rocco is only averaging 7 points and 6 rebounds while shooting 32% from 3, which is not the most beautiful thing in the world. But the good thing about it is that he is shooting near 90% from the free throw line this year. And most importantly, Rocco is filling that role of being a 3-and-D guy really well. As I said previously, they had Al-Farouq Aminu and Maurice Harkless, two who were really good defenders, but they were not exactly good three-point shooters. But this year, or at least nowadays, they have, of course, Gary Trent Jr., who I talked about earlier, and Rocco. And perhaps I'm the only one that's thinking this, but I do believe Gary Trent Jr. should be starting, no question. Because Gary Trent Jr. is a solid 3-and-D guy. Of course, if McCollum comes back, he's going to take away some of Gary Trent's touches, but I don't think he's going to be concerned with that though. But he is showing himself to be a really effective two-way shot creator, as well as being a really solid third option next to Dame and CJ. And then you have Melo and Kanter come off the bench. Of course, that's when Nurkic comes back. Melo and Kanter off the bench for offense. They would be a solid offensive duo off the bench, similar to, let's say, Lou and Montrez when Trez was with the Clippers. Anthony Simons is an underrated piece too. He's averaging 9.1 a game, and last year he averaged 8.3, and then he averaged 3.8 in his rookie year, obviously with the 36-point game in the last game of the season for the Blazers. And Anthony Simons is getting better the more he steps out onto the floor, so I'd watch out for him. But overall, bro, the Blazers are a really good team. Now, of course, this is the regular season, and they have not played well in the playoffs, which is too bad because I want Lillard and CJ and all those guys to make a deep playoff run similar to the one in 2019. But the thing is, with the Blazers, for some reason, they fall short every year. I think 2019 was more of a Cinderella story, similar to, let's say, the Miami Heat last year when they made their run to the finals. But they have been balling, though, even without Nurk and CJ. And when those two get back and this whole Blazer team is healthy, this is not a team I would want to face in the playoffs. Whether it's the Lakers, the Jazz, the Clippers, or whatever, this is just a team you do not want to face in the playoffs. Especially with Damian Lillard getting on a hot streak, CJ getting on a hot streak, Carmelo basically playing like New York Knicks Carmelo, if you know what I mean. And that is my vid on the Blazers. My apologies if I'm not uploading as weekly as I should, like I promised. But I've been busy with school and I've been busy dealing with some personal things, so I want to make sure I get myself right for this particular video. But anyways, that's all, guys. I'm gonna have a gameplay video at some point this week, or worst case scenario next week. But my next video should be about the Utah Jazz because they have been an interesting team to watch lately and an interesting team to hear about lately. So be on the lookout for that. I will release it whenever it's ready, but that is all. I will see y'all later. I'm X. Deuces.